Minorikawa's cry of despair echoed throughout the cafe. His laptop monitor stared back at him, black and empty. Don't you die on me, buddy! He jabbed his finger sharply at the screen. But the computer gave no response, looking well and truly dead. What the hell? Minorikawa pounded his fist on the table. This would be a worst case scenario even if we weren't desperately pressed for time. So I just have to write my hand then. He rummaged around inside his bag and pulled out a notebook. I can still do this, he shouted, doing his best to psych himself up for the task ahead. I'll still do this. Excuse me, sir? The waitress appeared to him beside him. What? Minorikawa snapped, his pen still flying across the paper. Sir, if you could please quiet down. My damn computer just broke. I'm allowed a scream or two. Minorikawa was in no state of mind to be quiet. If it weren't for the deadline he was racing to meet, he'd probably have gone on screaming until he passed out. Your computer is broke, you say? The waitress peered at the monitor. Yeah, look. It just suddenly stopped displaying anything. Could it be that, the battery is just dead? Minorikawa sat bolt upright. That's it! The waitress flinched as Minorikawa's finger jabbed toward her face. I hadn't considered that possibility. Hey, let me plug in somewhere. There's an outlet right there, sir. She pointed at an outlet by Minorikawa's feet, making no attempt to hide her exasperation. Minorikawa plugged in the power cable and the monitor sprang to life as normal. So, now that that's sorted, would you please be quiet, sir? Don't talk to me. You're interfering with my writing. Minorikawa's fingers had already begun dancing around his keyboard. With a sigh, the waitress disappeared back into the kitchen. Oh yeah, now we're talking. His fingers picked up speed as he went about touch typing. The act of typing at a keyboard without looking at the keys, the aspiration of computer novices everywhere. The typical method involves placing the index fingers on the F and J keys, the middle ring and pinky fingers resting on the A and S, and D or K, L, and keys to the other side, from which all other keys are easily reached. With practice, a touch typist can distinctly hit the correct key every time without looking. The pros and cons of surveillance cameras. Proprietor of outdated electronics shop overseas, high-tech camera system. Bedlam at bogus weight loss drink sales demo. Bankrupted organizer remains undiscouraged. Now Minorikawa's spirits were riding high. His riding rolled along at a brisk pace. Sir! It was the waitress again, her voice changing Minorikawa right out of his soaring mood. Sir! Now what? Does the President of the United States agree to give me a one-on-one interview? Richard's eyes went wide with confusion. Huh? Because unless it's something that important, do not speak to me right now. She was undeterred. Sir, please, if you could just be a little quieter. Minorikawa's fingers ceased their rattling across the keys. Just what sound do you have a problem with? All I've been doing is writing a copy. Well, for the last while, actually, you've been talking while you're right, sir. Oh. Talking? Minorikawa tilted his head in confusion. Yes, sir, you've been talking about an electronics store and some bogus weight loss drink. Assume that's what you're writing about? You think I've been narrating my copy aloud while writing it? That's right, sir. Other customers sitting nearby were openly speaking. Well, so what? He snapped. He was red in the face now. You should all be delighted that you get to hear what I'm writing before the magazine goes to print. Well, actually, sir, one of our customers has been complaining. Complaining? Of all the nerve, who was it? Where are they? Minorikawa scanned the other patrons, of whom were unsuccessfully trying to hide their laughter. It's the old man, wasn't it? It was me. Yep. It was the grumpy older fellow who'd been making a scene earlier. Bogus diafads, peeping security cameras. Reminds me of that sleazy tabloid four-star general gossip I hate so much. Oh, you sure seem to know a lot about it for something I hate so much. The man's face twisted up with scorn. Your behavior is bothering everyone here, he said. Do you not understand that? No, I don't. Because a reporter who writes nothing but nonsense refers nonsense in everything he does. Minorikawa could feel his blood boiling. What was that? Go on, say that again. Oh, gladly. Nonsense, filth. Codswallop. Flim-flam! You bastard! How dare you! Minorikawa stormed over the man's table. Flim-flam? Indeed! Bogus or insincere content. A few things anger Minorikawa more than reporters using dishonest means to create a story, having his own work called flim-flam. Why don't you make him blow his top? Just who are you calling flim-flam? The other man stood up and glowered in Minorikawa's face. You already lack any manners or sense of decency, for starters. I have plenty of manners and decency. I also happen to have a deadline. So if a flim-flam artist like you has a work ethic. Stop calling me flim-flam! The waitress inserted herself between the two men. Gentlemen, please, stop fighting. Demand that you remove this man at once, the other fellow barked. He's the one you should be kicking out, Minorikawa shot back. But now he was ready to go for this guy's throat. Please, the waitress pleaded, both of you return to your seats. She grabbed onto Minorikawa and began to forcibly drag him back to his table. What's late for that? Giving a hint to his anger, Minorikawa threw a punch to the troublemaker. Okay, just calm down, Minorikawa did his best to swallow his pride. Okay, just calm down. Minorikawa did his best to swallow his pride. Whatever, he puffed. I don't have time for this anyway. He stalked back to his seat. The other man snorted and sat down with a scowl. A needless interruption just when he'd finally gotten into writing mode had all but killed Minorikawa's motivation. He decided he needed to take a breather. Turned to the waitress. 1 spaghetti Napolitan, please. Spaghetti flavored with tomato ketchup. Napolitan is a corruption of Napolitan, though the dish itself has no connection to the Italian city of Naples, Napoli rather. It originates as a menu item at a hotel in Yokohama shortly after World War II. There was also a spaghetti dish from Nagoya called Milanese, which likewise has no connection to the Italian city of Milan. He might not have a lot of spare time, but working on an empty stomach wouldn't do him any favors. While waiting for his order to come out, he decided to read back out over the copy he'd written so far. But when he looked back at the monitor, the screen was black yet again. Looking down at his feet, he saw that the power cable was not unplugged. Hey, what kind of cafe are you people running here? He shouted. He just hurried over, looking combative. So you yanked that out yourself when you stood up earlier. What? A likely story. It's the truth, sir. Minorikawa pointed to one of the customers sitting next to him. She's telling the truth. Did I really yank my power cord out of myself? The man nodded sheepishly. Yeah, well, then that's the outlet's fault for being someplace where it's unplugged so easily, Minorikawa squawked. The waitress marched away, head held high. Just make sure the spaghetti's delicious, Minorikawa shouted out to her. Do that and I'll consider us even. Oh, and load it with cheese, lots of cheese. He plugged the power cable back in and let out a heavy sigh. All this his writing forever he hadn't thought of to save his work. Dumbass. Always make sure to save your work to avoid losing data. Honestly, why is it that your computer only seems to freeze when you forgot to save your stuff? He was probably going to have to rewrite most of what he'd done. Haha. Excuse me. When Minorikawa looked up to see a young woman standing there. I'm so sorry, she said. About my father? She gave a tiny bow. Your father? Oh, the rude old man. He's just a little worked up right now. Please don't pay him any mind. So what, you waiting on your boyfriend? Huh? The woman was taken aback. I happened to hear you two arguing earlier. Would have been about 2 hours ago. Oh, I see. An awkward, embarrassed smile came to the woman's face. I thought he was going to ask my father for permission to marry me, so we've been waiting for him, but he hasn't shown up. No, you must be really busy. She cast her eyes down sadly. When Minorikawa took a better look at her, she was gorgeous. A woman with her looks wasn't something he saw every day, that was for sure. Say, would you mind talking with me for a bit, he asked. Me? Yeah. I kind of need to turn my mood around here. Well, okay, at least until my father gets back. I want to cast an anxious look toward the restrooms. What's your name? Rumi. She sat down across from him. Wait a second, aren't you? Minorikawa peered at Rumi's face. One of those twins that was chosen as Miss Midoriyama? Rumi shook her head. No, not me. No, darn, didn't think I'd be that lucky. He took a sip of his new and now cold coffee. I do know the girls you're talking about though, Rumi said. Minorikawa spat out his coffee in surprise. Rumi squeaked in alarm at the spray splattered her face, but Minorikawa leaned in unconcerned. You mean it? You really know them? Yes, Rumi replied. You're talking about the Osawa twins, right? She got out a handkerchief and wiped the coffee from her face as she spoke. Osawa, huh? Minorikawa glanced down at the project proposal on the table. Sexy square twins share top prize local university beauty contest. Midoriyama Academy, Maria and Tomi Osawa. Yes, that's it. Osawa twins. Actually won Miss Midoriyama myself a few years ago. This year I served as one of the judges. Minorikawa adopted a self-satisfied pose. So really was born under the right sign to be a freelancer. At least just come to me. Sure, Rumi muttered. Okay, let's talk basics then. Tell me, what do you know about these girls? Well, I don't really know them personally. Remy continued to dab at the coffee in her face. But now that you ask, I do remember hearing that they'd entered the contest separately. Wait, separately? Minorikawa was a bit confused. Yes, that's right. I'd assumed they'd entered as a pair, but apparently not. I wonder why. I mean, they're twins, don't they look alike? Wear the same clothes, do everything together, and say the same things at the same time and stuff? Remy chuckled and shook her head. No, not at all. Besides, these two aren't identical, they're fraternal twins. I mean, they look identical. Twins who were born at the same time from two eggs that were fertilized separately. Fraternal twins do not share the same genetic information. They can differ in such characteristics as sex and blood type, though there are cases of fraternal twins resembling one another almost as closely as identical twins. Maria and Tomomi Osawa happen to look very closely alike, but they do not have the same blood type. Oh, so that's the difference? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Although at a glance they do look very similar, still, how should I put this? They both give off a very different impression. Oh, now that sounds interesting. Mind explaining what you mean? Minorikawa opened his memo pad. I talked to them briefly after the award ceremony. The older sister struck me as really energetic, but the younger one was more quiet and reserved. Minorikawa's investigative senses were tingling. I wouldn't figure a shy girl would want to enter a campus beauty contest. I suppose not, no. Yeah. I don't suppose you've got anything juicier, Minorikawa asked. Remy frowned. Would you like to just go ask them yourself, she said? They don't live very far from here. Whoa, hold the phone. Minorikawa could hardly believe what that just fallen into his lap. The vast info in the project proposal had mentioned the girls were students at Midoriyama, but hadn't given an actual address. You could talk to them directly, now that would be pay dirt. You know where they live? Well, not exactly. I just heard that they lived in Shoto. Aha, Shoto. That wasn't far away. A car and motorcycle could get there in about 10 minutes. It'd be quicker than going to Midoriyama Academy, and he'd be able to meet with the girls themselves. Minorikawa flashed a quick look toward the restroom. It looked like Rumi's father had just gotten back. Sorry, she said, I should be going. No problem, thank you. Rumi gave him a quick nod, then hurried back to her seat. Minorikawa grabbed the directory from the public phone and flipped through the pages. To her surprise, there were only 5 listings for the name Osawa with addresses in Shoto. It was neither a Maria nor a Tomi, but he hadn't expected there to be. He'd need to find their parents. Wasting no time, he called up the first Osawa on the list. Bingo! Minorikawa couldn't help but pump his fist in excitement. Got in the right place on his first try. Way to go, me! He committed the house number listed in the phone book to memory. Just then the waitress reappeared with a disgruntled expression. Minorikawa's order of spaghetti Napolitan. Here you are, sir. Oh. The pasta was piled high with an impressive amount of grated cheese. It looked almost like a miniature mountain of snow. You did say lots of cheese, sir, the waitress told him. She set down a canister of cheese and a bottle of Tabasco. Sauce made with a US-based McIlhenny company, consisting of hot peppers, grain vinegar, and rock salt. Known for its distinctive spiciness, it can make spaghetti and pizza quite tasty with the addition of just a few drops. Tabasco also goes pretty well with ramen and curry, recommended for times when flavors lacking a little punch. However, even 1 drop may be too much for those who can't handle spicy things. It's been claimed that Tabasco was first imported to Japan by a certain well-known former pro wrestler, but this story is untrue. Ooh, this looks good, Minorikawa exclaimed. He rolled some spaghetti up with his fork and shoved it into his mouth. The slightly sour sweetness of the ketchup blended perfectly with the mellow flavor of the cheese. Oh, that is tasty. Something like satisfying grub to lift the spirits. Turned back to his laptop, still wolfing down the spaghetti. Alright, we're back in action. Let's do this. Again, he ethically blurted his words aloud as he slipped back into writing mode. I've got this. With ketchup smeared around his mouth, he set his fingers tapping away at the keys. The waitress let out another groan of dismay. Huh? You see something? Minorikawa glanced in the direction, but the waitress faked a smile. No, sir, I don't think so. Yeah, well, then go away. You're distracting me. The moment he left away, she clenched her fist in indignation. Nothing, sir. Good luck with your work, sir. I don't need luck. I've got this. Jumping back and forth between pasta and computer, Minorikawa got to work on his cafe once more. Before long, he was oblivious to every sound in the cafe around him. Jesus. When he finally snapped out of writing mode, he glanced at his watch. It was 2:20. Almost time for him to head to his next interview. Better get a move on. That was 20 minutes. Oh, gosh. Kimizuka's taxi came by just as Minorikawa was hurrying out of the cafe. Oh, what a pleasant surprise, Minorikawa called out. Nice timing, my man. Kimizuka's startled look quickly vanished behind an expression of professional resignation. Do you need a ride, sir? You know it, Minorikawa replied. First, head to Shoto. After that, I need to get to Sakuragaoka. As he cast his gaze out at the sights of the city, Minorikawa mulled over his plan for the next part of the day. First, he'd interview the Miss Midoriyama girls, then he'd meet with the head of that theater troupe. In order to leave himself enough time to write his copy, that meant, I'd like to get this all wrapped up in 20 minutes, he said. Can you make that happen? Kimizuka flashed a grin. That will incur a special fare, sir. Ooh, special. Minorikawa said as he got settled in his seat. I love that word. Kimizuka stepped on the gas. Shibuya was a town of contrast. It was a town of young people, unpretentious, energetic. The Scramble intersection and Center Guy perfectly conveyed that vibrancy. However, if one turned right at the 109 building and headed down Bunkamura Dori, the town's whole atmosphere changed. Shoto is one of the Shibuya's, indeed one of Tokyo's most upscale residential districts. Wherever one looked, there were stately manor houses giving off an imposing air, sending the message that this was no place for the common folk. Rider's fine. Minorikawa directed Kimizuka to pull over. Wait here for me. I'll be right back. Hopping out of the taxi, he checked the nameplates of the nearby homes. Ah, here we go. He spotted a nameplate that read Osawa. Kenji Osawa, huh? The name nagged at him somehow. It had been in the back of his mind ever since he'd seen it in the phone book back at the cafe. Had he heard it someplace before? He walked up to the gate and pressed the button for the intercom. Even the little chime it made when pressed sounded elegant. Minorikawa waited, but there was no response. He looked at his watch. It was 2:30 now. His interview with Shinosuke Araya, the Wandering Angels, was to have started already. Episode 3. With help from Shinchi Bando, Mando was able to get out of his apartment. Then when all the players had finally assembled, the troupe proceeded with one last rehearsal before showtime. But again, tragedy struck. Mando came down with food poisoning after eating his lunch. He was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, and the Angels were once again lacking an actor for the key role of Shido. Araya was on the verge of panic. Finally, however, he came up with a solution. Novice actor Takuya Amo, age 31, would take on the part. Continued episode 4. Still, he wanted to meet with the twins first if it was possible. He had to make a decision. He decided to wait a little bit longer. He decided to give up and head to the next interview. Just go to the next one. Oh, I'll have to come back later. When Minorikawa decided he better get to his next interview, he started to head back toward the taxi. Front door opened. Oh, what? A grim-looking man emerged leading out another man in handcuffs. Minorikawa was standing in their way. Pardon us, the serious-looking fellow said. He gave Minorikawa a curt bow as he passed by. Minorikawa smothered distinct over a scoop. Hey, does that guy live here? He asked. The man ignored him and kept moving, but Minorikawa followed. He couldn't let this opportunity pass him by. Hey, wait up! Is that Mr. Osawa? With a grimace, the man pushed Minorikawa aside and hurried his handcuffed prisoner along. For a moment, Minorikawa wondered if he should keep after them, but he decided against it. Whatever was going on here, he doubted he'd be able to get an interview with the twin girls right now. This had all been an unfortunate waste of time. He had no real choice but to head along to his next interview. I felt like this should have been kept out, because this is a bit of a spoiler. I haven't even done this on the story, and I'm just thinking that. What the hell happened? A few minutes later, the rear tires skidded sharply as the cab came to a stop beside a different curb. The trip from Shoto to the theater in Sakuragaoka had taken almost no time at all. Regards, sir, Kimizuka announced. Wow, that was fast. Still, Minorikawa was at least 5 minutes behind schedule. He hoped he'd still be able to get the interview with Orai. That's where you keep out? Okay. Okay. Damn, this room was having my throat hurts.